Hey guys, it's Carrie, and I am a few days late this week. I apologize. Oh, I thought I had my lighting fixed, but it's probably just gonna look weird and washed out because I have lights, but I don't have like real curtains, and you get the natural light and whatnot. Anyways, I'm late because life is good, and I'm just busy doing all of the things that I have to do at the end of the school year, especially because I'm trying to get ready to graduate and find a real job for next year and all that good stuff. So that's appropriate though, because I want to talk about waiting, and specifically like the struggle of waiting for things, transition related specifically, and that can be any number of things. That can be anything from waiting to be able to come out to people, waiting to there's a student at the school I'm at who is trans and is out to some specific like family members, but isn't going to like socially transition until next year because they didn't want to try to deal with it in the middle of a school year. So sometimes it can be just waiting to start the process, waiting for like if you're legally changing your name and or gender marker, waiting for that to go through to be official, waiting for access to hormones, waiting to get into an initial appointment with like a doctor, an endo, or someone to talk to them, a therapist, waiting if you're pursuing any surgeries or other medical treatments. So there are a ton of things that you have to wait for when you are trans or non-binary or genderqueer, and it isn't very fun, and it's frustrating, and sometimes it can become like too consuming. Like I know like I would get frustrated with myself because like there'd be like things going on that I really wanted to engage in, but I would be so distracted because of like the combination of dysphoria and waiting for things. And I have probably said this in multiple videos. I say it to people in person all the time that are talking about transition things. When I talk to my therapist, when I started the process to get my top surgery, one of the things he told me was that in his experience with the majority of his clients that went through any type of like gender affirmation surgeries was that the closer you get to the thing you're waiting for, like sometimes that elevates your dysphoria and makes it worse because you've been waiting so long and you're so close. But I'm actually so happy that he told me that, because I did experience it, but knowing that and like understanding like that's a thing that people go through, and it just means that you're so close to getting what you want and need, for me was very helpful and I guess comforting in a way. So kind of knowing that, I think, is helpful just in general, that it's difficult to wait, and the closer you get, the more difficult it is. I had a much more difficult time with like my surgery in my chest than with starting hormones, because I was pretty decided. So I still I was kind of annoyed that I had to wait several weeks to get in to see someone. I was a little annoyed that then I had to schedule, I mean, I knew I would have to come back after like lab work and stuff, but like she wanted to give me like a 4-week window, and 6 weeks was the quickest I could get in to see her. So like there was some annoyance because I was like, I kind of know I want to do this, like I just want to start, but it was just a different type of dysphoria and experience for me. So how can you deal with waiting? And like, because that was a little bit different and easier for me, like what else would make it easier? I would say like number one thing to do is have other things in your life that you're looking forward to and that you're working towards, and do something that is not related to being trans or non-binary with your time as well. Like I said earlier, we kind of get consumed and sucked into the transition process, and it's partially because it's necessary to figure yourself out and what you want and need, and partially because once you know that that's like a possibility, it's like, okay, now you want it, and now you're being limited access to it for not even always malicious reasons, just if, you know, like my nurse practitioner I see for trans care sees all the trans patients at that clinic. So you have to wait a long time sometimes because there's just so many people. So I'm hoping that I really like her, but I'm hoping they'll hire someone else or train some more people to do that or whatever they need to do. So do something that is not specific to being trans. So like my YouTube channel is about being genderqueer, non-binary, trans. this is not something that's not about being trans for me, right? But I play music in a couple bands that's kind of, it's irrelevant, kind of. One of my bands was all women until I transitioned, so like that's a little shift, but it's not really like, it's not an issue or anything. It was just kind of a shift in the group identity. So like music is a big thing for me. And also just like, I spend a lot of time with friends. Like that's kind of my chill out time, what I like to do with my free time when I have it. My school counseling stuff, like a lot of times you can kind of choose topics, or like you're given a realm of topics where sometimes I will deliberately not choose things that are about being LGBT or trans because I don't want that to be like the only focus of what I'm doing. Although I did just submit like a presentation proposal about trans students, but that's because I just see a big need for that in the community. So kind of balancing your life, and then having those things to look forward to that aren't specific to transition goals. So that could really be like, maybe every Friday night you get together with somebody and you just watch like a cheesy horror movie on Netflix or something. But kind of just having those other things to take you out of, it helps pass time. It gives you like other steps to look forward to in that process. And it kind of can pull you out of that like loop of waiting, and then all I'm thinking about is when this happens. Because I know like my last summer before my surgery was pretty tough to try to motivate myself to do certain things because I was like, I just want this to be done. But yeah, I think that's, I'm sorry, like I just got out of class and I was like, I need to get this video up because I just missed one a couple weeks ago and I didn't really want to miss this past weekend. So, but that's really what I wanted to say. Know that waiting sucks, and like you'll see people who are clearly like very far along in like transition wise, and they'll be like, oh, you look back and it's nothing. Well, that's great for them because they're already there. But the waiting part sucks for everybody. And knowing that sometimes it's going to get a little bit tougher to wait it out when you get close, but that's okay, like because it means you're close. Do things and look forward to things that have nothing to do with being genderqueer or trans or transition related. Have those friends and interests and hobbies and activities outside of that as much as possible, because ultimately one day you're going to get through your transition process. Whether you, like, you know, some people will say they're always transitioning and that's fine, but you're going to get through the process at some point and you're still going to be a whole person aside from being trans or non-binary, with interests and activities, and hopefully like you've cultivated a whole person, and it's not, you don't get to a point where you're like, now what do I do, because everything in my life was only about being trans and non-binary. But yeah, that's it. And if you are in a position right now where you're waiting, I can sympathize, empathize, sympathize. I always mix those two up. They have slightly different meanings. And you know, they say it's gonna get better, and hopefully we're all making it better. But that's it. I'm rambling too much. So have a great week. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.